Welcome back to beautiful Blue Mountain Village. We're here in the Ganban Yoga studio of Iwa Spa, and today's practice is going to be a little bit of a reset and restore. So restorative yoga, usually we hold our poses for quite a long time. We use a lot of props for blocking, blankets, all that kind of stuff to support us so we can let ourselves go. So this will be a typical class that we kind of practice on this hot rock here. So I always say it's restorative-ish, a little bit more yin-based because we won't be holding our poses as long, but they will be very gentle and very mild. So today I have with me over here a couple of blocks and some blankets. If you have a bolster at your house, you're more than welcome to use that. If you have books, you don't have to prop yourself up if you're comfortable with your body letting go, but sometimes we need that little extra support. So just coming in to sit here for a moment, let's kind of connect ourselves, moving those fleshy bits, sitting up nice and tall, closing our eyes, and just starting to kind of tune everything out but our breath, our body. Allowing the muscles of our face to soften, really starting to think about kind of taking up more space here today. We're going to move to our backs fairly quickly, but I'd like to just tune into our breath, our body in this position. Sometimes it gives us a little bit of a better idea of how we're feeling as we kind of let everything melt toward the floor, lengthening through our spine. Turning our focus inward to our breath a little bit more. Maybe we start to lengthen our inhales and exhales. Noticing as our ribcage expands, our belly, we feel our shoulders, our chest get a little bit wider. We can begin to reach the crown of our head up toward the sky. And then as our body starts to release those big breaths, press in through our joints, our muscles, maybe we start to move for a little bit here. So maybe some circles through our hips, keeping our eyes closed or open if we like. Coming back to that center, just doing a few shoulder circles, just any movement that feels good here. Take a nice big inhale as we lengthen. Exhale, just walk your hands over to one side, maybe looking over our shoulder. Our next exhale takes us all the way through center and to the other side. Exhaling back to center. On an inhale, we'll take our arms up and let's interlace our fingers on the back of our head. We can just hold on gently if we like, or we can weave those fingers together. Take a nice big inhale, reach your elbows apart, lift your chest, arch your back. We're coming into those seated cat-cows. Exhaling as we round, elbows come together, coming back into that spine. And just moving back and forth, so a little variation on that tabletop cat-cow we have been practicing through our sessions. One more breath. Our inhale takes us up. Let's reach those arms up, and exhaling as we walk ourselves forward into that nice forward fold, starting to send our breath into our back body. Send those hips toward your mat. Nice and wide across our shoulders, long through our spine. Breathing here. Exhaling as we walk ourselves back up. Sitting up nice and tall, coming back to those breaths, inhaling and exhaling through our nose. Seeing what's changed with those little movements as we've started to open and release through our body. That focus kind of hones in on how we're feeling. Letting go of our plans for this afternoon, our to-do lists for the week, and just setting the intention for the next 30 minutes or so to really just focus on yourself. For that reset, allow yourself to let go here. It's a very gentle practice. We're going to be really concentrating on not only relaxing our bodies, but also our minds, letting ourselves just kind of chill out in our space. So making sure that we are cozy, that we have everything we need. We are going to be moving onto the wall at the end of our practice. So find a space that works for you. Our next exhale, let's walk ourselves forward into that tabletop position. Finding ourselves on our hands and knees. Do a little wag of our hips. You can move into those normal cat-cows if you want. We let our pelvis tilt forward, draw our shoulders down and wide, look all the way up on our inhales. Exhaling as we round. And again, moving here, that intuitive flow of our bodies. And then taking a nice big inhale. On our exhale, we're going to move back into child's pose. So we can reach out with our arms. Now we have the option here to prop ourselves up. So if you have your bolster, you can place it in front of you. If you don't, you have a couple blankets you can stack. You have some blocks. We have the same thing happening here. The options, spread your legs a little bit wider. We're going to let ourselves rest on here, turning our head to one side. Our arms become nice and relaxed. And we just let ourselves sink here. Imagining that breath as it flows through our body, and those exhales, everything just softens. Sending our breath where we need it. Inviting that quiet into our body, our minds. As we let ourselves release here, I know that our minds are going to want to wander outside of our space. So just bring it back into the present by just following your breath as it moves through your body. Send it all the way down to the soles of your feet, long to the tips of your fingers, wide across your back, your shoulders. So just check in at each stage, noticing any areas that you may need to breathe a little bit deeper into. And take 4 more breaths here before we start to move. If you've propped yourself up on a blanket or something, we'll just gently remove that out of our space. For those of us who are just in that true child's pose, let's take a nice big inhale, and on an exhale, walk your hands over to one side. So that nice big side stretch here, thinking about those shoulders moving away from our spine. Our next exhale takes us all the way through center and over to the other side. Transferring our breath nice and wide through our hip, along our rib cage, getting a little bit more length through our underarm. Exhaling as we come back to center. One more big inhale here. Exhaling as we gently walk our torso up. Let our feet fall, our hips fall over to one side, and we're going to come on to our back, so onto our mats. Today I'm practicing without a mat because one of the magical things about this Ganbanyoko studio is that it is heated rock, so I'm getting a little bit of that warmth today, which is lovely during all of this time. One of the things I've missed the most is being in this space. So let's pick up our hips, just roll our spine down, because as soon as we kind of bring those feet in a little bit, we tend to arch our back. So we want to be nice and long through our spine, making sure it's connecting up our mat from our tailbone to the top of our head. Feet are hip width apart. We're just going to come into a nice gentle twist here. So big inhale as we fill our body. We can feel that back body press into our mat. And on an exhale, just let your legs fall over to one side. So continuing to breathe wide, rod across our pelvis. We're filling our belly, our rib cage, our chest with our breath. We have the option to take our arms out to the side. Maybe it feels nice to take them overhead to open up that chest a little bit, or just rest them on our belly again. This is what feels good to us. If we need to prop ourselves, we can put a block in between our legs or a blanket. all about letting go today, about resetting our bodies, our minds. Breathing through our whole body. And just checking in mentally, emotionally, physically with each movement. Our next inhale, we'll bring our knees to center, and exhaling as they fall to the other side. Noticing the difference from one side to the other. How does this feel on that lower leg or our hip? Again, continuing to breathe wide. Fill our bodies here. Exhaling as we get rid of everything. Inhaling as we take in all of that fresh breath, that light. Three more breaths here. On an inhale, bring your knees back to center. Let's draw our knees into our chest for a hug, giving them that nice squeeze. Maybe it feels nice to rock back and forth. Certainly on this heated stone, it does. Giving ourselves a little massage against our mat. Exhaling as we release our feet back down to our mat. Again, picking up that tailbone, just rolling it down so we have that nice connection. I want you to walk your feet all the way together, our legs, our inner thighs touch. We take a nice big inhale, and on our exhale, we're gonna let our legs fall away from one another. So here's an opportunity to use those props as well, grabbing our blocks if we need to, or even if we just have our towel or our blanket, setting them on either side, whichever is comfy, or none at all. So you've got that option to kind of allow yourself to release in through our pelvis. We can also let ourselves just hang out here, but I want you to be mindful of that belly reaching up toward the sky and our back coming off of our mat. One of the nice parts about practicing on the heated rock here at Iwa is that we get to notice when our body isn't touching it. It's much more apparent to me when I let my hips relax that my belly reaches toward the sky, my lower back comes off. So I'm gonna press that down and in, my feet together. I'm gonna send my breath all the way down to the soles of my feet. letting ourselves go here. So those props, that support we give ourselves with our blanket or our blocks, just allows us to release even farther. I don't want you to be straining to keep your legs up or be uncomfortable in any way. We can use those props and let ourselves release. Five more breaths here, really letting ourselves open up and relax, following our breath as it moves through our body, checking in here. How do we feel? Bringing our hands to the outside of our thighs. Inhaling, we'll close our legs like a book. We can slide those props out of the way. Just take your feet hip width apart, so a little bit wider again. Lift up that tailbone, we'll roll it down. And we're just gonna do a few windshield wipers from side to side. So let's take a big inhale here as we connect ourselves all the way up. And on an exhale, let your legs fall over to one side. And I want you to inhale here, so right across our pelvis. Fill our body, and on our exhale, we're gonna move all the way through center and over to the other side. Inhaling here, again, don't rush it, nice and long. And exhaling as we slowly move to that first side. One more time. This time on our exhale, we're gonna come right up to center, bringing our feet a little bit closer to our bum, grabbing our block or our book or whatever we have we're using as that prop. We're gonna come into a supported bridge. So feet are hip width apart, a little bit closer to our bums than maybe they would be if we were just hanging out here with our knees bent. Pick up those shoulders, move them nice and wide. On an inhale, I want you to press into your feet, lift your hips, and we're just gonna slide that block underneath us. So right underneath that tailbone, the top of our bums. I like to keep mine on the lowest, flattest setting. It's a little bit more relaxed, but you have the option if you're feeling it to take it a little bit higher. Letting ourselves settle here. Again, adjusting, we want our spine to be nice and long. Maybe we take our arms out to the side. And letting ourselves sink over top. Adjusting if you need to.
So a variation that we do quite regularly here in this class is bringing our legs up into Waterfall, which we would bring both of our feet up, kind of let it hang out here. We are going to be moving into legs up the wall at the end of our practice, so we might get a double dose of this today, but letting those knees bend slightly. We're not pressing our feet up, it's nice and soft. We have the option to hang out here. Of course, we have the option to just be in our bridge, let ourselves sink over this block, imagining our hips, our pelvis just pouring over the edges, whatever is working for you. And let yourself release. Our shoulders are heavy into our mat. The back of our neck is nice and long. We're not clenching our jaw. We're just letting everything soften here. Breathing into each little space. All the way down or up in between our toes. Along our arms to our wrists, the center of our palm. Four more breaths here. Our next inhale, we'll press into our feet, lift those hips up just high enough that we can slide that block out, and we'll roll our spine down our mat. Taking a breath here, so we've got a nice neutral spine, letting it kind of get back to that normal length, and then we can do a little reset, whether that means we draw our knees into our chest for a hug, whether we windshield wiper from side to side, maybe our feet come apart together, our legs are apart, just whatever feels good to you, whatever your body needs after that little mini back bend. Grabbing the backs of our thighs, we're all just gonna rock and roll a few times on our spine, give it a nice little massage as we come up to sitting. Let's take a breath here, check back in before we move to the wall, thinking back to those first breaths we took in this position, how our bodies changed. Maybe we'll take a nice big inhale, take our arms all the way up, and then we're gonna drop our left hand behind us and just reach over to that left elbow with our right arm. Give ourselves a nice little stretch here in through our shoulders. Our next inhale, let's take both arms up. Exhale, hands come to heart center, press into those palms. Inhale all the way up. Switching sides, we'll tuck that right hand behind, left hand comes to our elbow. Nice and wide, not letting ourselves kind of hunch forward, open up, press that head back. Draw our belly button into our spine. Inhaling, both arms come up. Exhale, take your hands to your thighs. Do some nice big circles. So inhale, we take our shoulders right up to those ears. Exhale, let's roll them back. And switching directions, inhale, they come up. Exhale, we roll forward. Coming back to center, one more breath here. Before we move on the wall, let's let our legs lengthen out. We'll take that nice forward fold, again moving our fleshy bits. We have the option to take our rolled up blanket, our blocks. We're gonna take a nice big inhale. You can take your arms up if that helps you reach up. Exhale, we fold forward, so we have that option to have our blanket here, let ourselves hang out on. We have some blocks, we could prop it if we wanted to. I want you to really think about getting that length for the first few breaths, and then you can allow yourself to kind of hang out here to soften a bit, letting our arms fall. Four more breaths. Inhale as you fill your body. Exhale, let it all go. That next exhale, we'll roll ourselves up, release our props, and we're gonna make our way to our wall, to our door, to the back of our couch, to a dresser, scooting ourselves up as close to that object as we can. We're gonna roll ourselves down, swing those hips up. You're welcome to put your blanket underneath your hips if you like, but seeing if we can get that bum right close to our wall. Give ourselves a little shimmy. Take a few breaths here. Our shoulders are spread nice and wide. Letting the weight of our week, our month, our day just kind of fall out of our feet, down our legs, and just wash away into the ground. Letting all that heavy emotion release. Exhaling, let your legs come nice and wide. Flexing through our feet, thinking about kind of breathing into those inner thighs, still connecting our spine all the way up our mat. Hands can come to our belly, they can come over top, they can be out to the side. Taking our hands to the outside of our legs, we'll slide them back up the wall. I'm gonna point, flex my feet, give them a little wiggle, and turn the soles of my feet toward one another and slide my feet down the wall as I bring my knees out to the side. Getting that nice stretch. Releasing our belly a little bit, letting those hips get a little bit wider. Exhaling as you slide your legs back up the wall, taking our left foot, bringing it to our right thigh. We're just going to breathe into our hips for a few breaths. So you have the option to just press that left knee out. You can also bend that right knee a little bit, drawing this in a little bit closer. Foot is flexed. Let's take 5 breaths on each side. You're more than welcome to pause here and stay for as long as you need to. Moving our glutes away from one another. On an exhale, you'll release, slide that leg back up. Give yourself a little shimmy. When you're ready to switch sides, press that knee out. Again, just staying here or bending that knee, coming toward us. Some big breaths on the other side. Press your hips toward the wall. Shoulders are down. Got a long neck. Soften through that hip a tiny bit, letting it push out a little bit more. Exhaling as you release. Adjusting ourselves, setting up for our final pose. We're going to stay here for our Shavasana. Of course, if you're uncomfortable or if you'd like to move into that traditional corpse, you can. We'll just press our feet down away from the wall and let ourselves come flat. Wherever we are, I want you to start to release your body, breathing all the way to the soles of our feet, out wide to the tips of our fingers, along our spine to the crown of our head. Inhaling as we take up space, exhaling as we get out of its way. Thinking about softening. Everything is melting into the earth. We're grounding ourselves into our space and allowing ourselves to let go. Everything we need is right here, right now. Give yourself the next 5, 10, 15 minutes to just relax. Let your body soften, your mind quiet. Let everything go. I will leave you here in this yummy Shavasana, staying in it for as long as you need, and I look forward to seeing you next week for our final session. Namaste.